Hello and welcome. Today I want to talk about, briefly talk about the idea of space and resting space in artwork. Art is all about contrast, it's about line and it's about colour and texture, but also that has to be contrasted with areas that are restful and areas that are spacious, that will lead the eye around the painting. And often, if you're struggling with your paintings being very cluttered or very messy, maybe this is something that you need to consider, the idea of how to get space into the paintings. And I'll give you a few ideas today on how to bring, just simple little techniques on how to bring space into the artwork. So yeah, it's something I've been thinking about myself, and I think as well during this time of lockdown, um, we think, oh, it's a time where we've got lots of time and rest and space. But I was noticing that my own artworks were quite cluttered and very, very busy. And I began to think, that's probably a reflection of what's going on in my own mind. So that's something to be aware of, as well as what's going on in your own mind. Is your own mind full of ideas, very, very busy? And, it's good to have lots of ideas, but also we need to give ourselves space. We need to give ourselves time to let our minds calm down and let them rest, and to get that kind of clutter out of our minds so that we can approach our paintings with a more, with that in mind, that we have to think of them as areas of space and areas of busyness, or interest. So that's the contrast: interest and space. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm just going to show you. I'm going to give you a few examples so you'll know exactly what I'm trying to get at. This is Claude Monet. Obviously, he's just an impressionist painter that so many people love. And if you looked at just that side of the painting, this is the full painting. But if you looked at that, you would just say he's an abstract painter. But his style was, he was one of the impressionist painters. But if you look at this piece, okay, on this side, you've got a lot of interest, you've got texture in these water lilies, you've got these leaves floating down, but you are getting, this is space, because it's a quiet area. Now, it's not completely dead, it's not completely empty, but it's definitely more spacious. And over here on this side of the painting, oh, it's just so much space. Now you can see there's a little bit of detail in it. So space doesn't have to be completely flat, like an emulsion wall. You can add interest into it. You can put brush marks into it. You can have, the ideas of the ripples on the water. But he was just brave enough to put, that this is at the end of his life. He was just a master, and he was brave enough to nearly give over half of his painting to space. And when you look at this entire painting, excuse the shine on it, this area is so important because it's leading you right in to the focus of that. Really, this area is the focus, because that's where he's built up so much texture and interest along this area, and it leads you up along to the little details and around in a circle again. So it's really, really fantastic example of, here's other pieces of his towards the end of his life. Again, that bravery of, he puts the building in the distance and he just makes so much space here over on this side. So he's just an absolute master at creating space. And here, space doesn't have to be empty or a light pale color. This is dark space. So you can use, the lighter colors are the busy part with the texture and the line and the shapes. And down here, this is the dark, more empty space to give your eye the rest that leads your eye in along through the painting and up along where he wants you to go, up into the distance. So he brings you on a journey into that painting. Excuse me for bending down. And everybody knows Van Gogh, Vincent van Gogh. And he's a painting that would strike you, an expressionist painter that you would think, when I think of him, I think, oh, his paintings are just crammed full of detail. They're so busy, busy, busy. But here again, he had the bravery. This is almost completely empty, this background. And down here, even though it's a very bright yellow, which is a very busy color, but he didn't overdo it because the flowers are yellow and he didn't want to take from the flowers. So he made this very, very plain. So I suppose that's another word for space, having a plain space. And just to look, I just want to kind of show you what the reason I'm talking about this is that it's something I'm just thinking about so much in my own work at the moment. I think I was looking at some of my paintings and thinking there's just so much, too much going on in them. Why is there so much going on in them? And why sometimes do I feel that they're so messy and so cluttered? And I began to think of this idea of space, that I need to bring space in. And even in my own mind, my own life, like I was talking to my husband, and the one thing he does after spending his day at work is he goes for a big long walk straight after work, about an hour's walk. And that's time for him to just bring in so much space into his own mind. And, I was thinking, it's something I need to focus on more. I feel when I'm painting that that's my space, but sometimes my mind is quite active when I'm painting and I'm trying to think, what's the next thing I'm going to do? And thinking of new ideas. Whereas I do need to give myself, and everybody does, to give yourself that time to get out into nature. If you pray, give yourself that space and time to listen, because often I feel I get the best ideas and the most creativity when I am listening and where I'm quiet, and then ideas come flooding into my mind, or images or pictures or ideas for paintings come into my mind. But you have to give yourself that space. And I think often we think, if we think it out, if we make a plan, write it all down and think it out and work at it, then the creative juices will flow. But it's usually when we're more not trying so hard, and when we're more in a relaxed mode, and sometimes when I'm playing around with the painting, with the brush, then something clicks and something happens, and I go, how did I do that? I wasn't trying to do that, it just happened. So we do have to give ourselves space. So just to show you in my own work, this painting here, you can see it's a big floral painting. Actually, what I'm going to do is I just find the light with the selfie camera isn't so good, so I'm going to just put it onto the main camera and show more clearly. So yeah, here we are. So yeah, this is the painting, and if I pull back from it, you can see there's a lot of detail in the center of the painting, but the edges, as you come in, I have taken out, I had them filled up with color, and they were very, very dark color, and there wasn't a lot of contrast in that painting. But now I have left some areas over here. They're not completely empty, but I've blurred them back. So I was just telling you at the beginning of the video, I will give you a few ideas on how to bring space into a painting. And that's a very, very simple way, is just to bring it in around the edges. And I've even done it at the bottom. I've faded here, down at the bottom, I've faded it back a little bit. Faded the colours back, but more particularly up at the corners. And a lot of artists use that technique to bring space into their paintings. And here's another one. I've just been working on these paintings of, it's not maybe completely finished Or maybe it is, but I've been working on paintings of the city that I live in. The city, I love cities that are on hills, and the city of Cork is on lots of hills. We're just surrounded by hills with buildings going the whole way up to the top. But what I want to show you in this is the edges. You know, I've brought that sense of calm into the corners of the painting. Just making, and even the bottom corners here, more so on the right hand side and the top left hand side. You could kind of maybe balance it out that way, that opposite corners are quieter. So that's another just idea. But you know, other artists bring it in, as I was showing you with Monet. He's bringing it in through the center. You could bring a river or some other landmark into the center of a painting, and that would give you the quiet area in the center of the painting. But this is a very, very simple way, if you find your paintings are very cluttered, is to put the quiet areas in around the edges. And that's a very, very simple way of bringing space into the painting. And also it gives you, it's framing the painting to a certain extent as well. It's giving the eye a place to rest out around the edges of the painting, but bringing you into the center where all the detail is going on. So that's it from me today. Thank you for joining me, and I will be back next week with some more ideas. And I hope you like this type of talk where I'm talking about the work, because I have done an awful lot of art demos. And if you want to see the demos and tutorials, they're all on my YouTube site. But sometimes I think it's good just to step back and talk about the work and give examples like I'm doing, of showing you different paintings and maybe pictures from other artists as well. So if you find this useful, please leave a comment and just let me know I'm on the right track and it's something that people want to see more of. So hope to see you next week, and until then, happy painting. Have a great week. And remember to bring space into your life. Get out for a walk or do something that just really, really relaxes you and helps you to switch off. If you're painting, just have fun. Don't even try. Play around with the paint. Be a child and enjoy it rather than striving to make it better. Because as I said, the breakthroughs come when you're not trying very hard. So until next week, God bless and bye-bye.